Hi, I'm Louise Hazel and I'm a partner and head of residential conveyancing at Lightfoots Solicitors. I have over 22 years of experience in residential conveyancing.
I hope if you're watching this and you're buying a property or selling a property, you'll find this useful. Maybe once or twice in your life you'll deal with an estate agent, and similar with a conveyancer. So Louise, there's lots of options for people, and I Google searched it this morning like we were just saying, and the options that come up on Google, they're all cheap solicitors. They're all names that I recognise and I don't like the look of them. So if people are buying or selling a property, they're searching for a conveyancer. There's lots of options out there for them. Why are some so cheap? Why are some so expensive? Is there anything that people should be aware of?
Yes, it's really important. So you're spending the most money you'll probably ever spend in your life on purchasing a property. So it needs to be somebody acting for you that knows what they're doing, preferably knows the local area, because that really does come in handy. Can't all be about fees now. You say there's some that are so cheap and some are really expensive.
Yeah, they advertise that then, that's there.
So what they advertise a lot of the time, if you look into it properly and actually went and got detailed quotes from them, you'd see they're not as cheap as they look. They will hide fees disguised as other fees. So their initial legal fee might be something like £500 plus VAT, which looks great, whereas ours might be £1,200 plus VAT. There's a huge gap there, but our legal fee is our legal fee. There's nothing added onto that. It is what it says on the tin. They will add things in like acting for lenders, lots of different things.
So they don't declare everything.
They declare everything, but they don't call it a legal fee. So they'll fire these other things at you later during the transaction sometimes. Whereas we've always been a firm that sticks to a legal fee and the disbursements. And that's it. We set it all out very clearly, and that won't change during the transaction.
Do you think, so it just comes to my head now, there's a firm locally that you and I both know that I won't name.
Good.
And when they send out their quote, what they don't tell the client is that the actual conveyancer only works 2 or 3 days a week. And then I found that out by trying to contact those or send them an email, and I get a bounce back. You can speak to me on Mondays or Wednesdays. Fridays, forget it, because I'm dealing with completions and exchanges.
Yeah.
Is that something they should declare, do you think? Or
it depends on their setup. So if it's a small firm and there's nobody that's covering their work on the days they're not there, then yes, they should be. If it's a firm that work as part of a team where everybody knows the files inside out, and if they're not there those days, there's someone to pick that up and help the client and keep momentum on the file, they should always declare it, yes. But it should probably be a good question for clients to ask when they first inquire as well.
Okay, and we were just talking about outside just there. Again, I'm not going to mention the firm, but I've just had a sale fall through where the solicitor acting for the buyer, the solicitor withdrew after 20 weeks, having discovered that they couldn't act on that particular property. Surely that's a question that buyers should be asking or sellers should be asking.
It's really difficult though, because you don't know what's going to come up during the transaction. It seems like a long time, but I don't know the details of the transaction. And things do get thrown up at late stages. Especially if it's leasehold and you're waiting on a management pack. Also, it also depends on which lender the buyers are using. All lenders have different requirements. So if there's something that might have suited one lender, it might not suit that buyer's lender, and then it needs to be investigated and maybe remedied. It's mainly with leasehold properties that this happens, because they're more complex, and you've got the additional party involved being the management company, which can cause, well, most delays are caused by management companies, to be honest with you.
Terrible. What should they look out for? What's important?
I think the first thing is, can you actually speak to your conveyancer from the outset? Will they take your call and discuss your case with you?
Can't get hold of it.
Or are you speaking to, an onboarding team who actually aren't going to have anything to do with you? And just are onboarding. If you can't get hold of your conveyancer at the outset to have an initial conversation, then the chances of you getting hold of them throughout the transaction when you really need to probably slim. So that's important. And probably alongside that, can you have will you have their direct dial, or will you be given a generic number where you could place on hold for half an hour every time you need to speak to them? will drive you insane, as it does us. Ask them if they've got capacity to take a transaction on. That's really important, because, you know, they might...
Well, they just lie on that one. Again, another firm that I won't name, who no longer exists from the area, I know from experience that they took on, because their fees were so low, they took on so much work. They were at capacity, but they kept...
Yeah, I mean, that's why I would ask the question specifically.
Well, they'll lie, won't they?
No, well...
Of course we can handle your case.
They shouldn't be lying, because we wouldn't do that. You know, it's just...
Well, they get found out though, won't they?
Well, it's more damaging to our reputation if we take work on that we can't handle in a good time and meet deadlines and do to a high standard, than to tell a client, oh, we're really sorry, we don't have capacity on this occasion to help you. It's horrible telling the clients that, because you work so hard to build a reputation up and get the work in, to then turn around and say, we can't actually act for you, is not great, but they'll go away. And might come back and ask on another occasion, you know, another thing they need from us. Whereas if you say, yes, we can, no problem, you know, we then can't meet their deadlines, we can't meet their expectations, that's going to leave a sour taste in their mouth and reflect badly on us. So we're better off telling them from the outset whether or not we can help them or not.
If you're acting for a client of mine and they and the buyer withdraws,
okay, yeah,
do they still pay you a fee?
Yes, but it's probably cheaper than what they pay a no sale, no fee person, because there are fees, hidden fees.
Okay.
So I used to work for a company that had no sale, no fee. But actually in the small print, if you had to pay a large sum upfront on account, and they would order your searches straight away. Whether they had contract pack in, whether they're instructed or what, they'd take your money, they'd order your searches. They made quite a lot of money on those searches because it was all done kind of through a third-party company that they were part of. So they made about £400 on a set of searches each time, and they would order those straight away. They made, yeah. So they had their £400, and they had a small print in there saying that if it does fall through, you still owe us £175 plus VAT admin setup fee to set your file up. So there's no legal fee. There's no abortive legal fees being charged, but you're still paying over £500. Well, clearly £600 if it goes abortive. That going abortive the next day, or you owe them £600. We don't do no sale, no fee.
Yeah.
However, if it goes abortive in the first couple of weeks and I haven't spent hours and hours working on the file, I'm not going to charge you for it because there's nothing to charge. You know, if it's a complex matter that's got up to the point of exchange of contracts and we've spent a long time on it and a lot of hours working on it, then yes, we would charge abortive fees in proportion to what work we've carried out. All our work is time recorded.
Okay. So it's all in the small print, all of those?
It's all in the small print, yeah. So, you know, if it fell through within the first couple of weeks with us, you're unlikely to be charged anything unless you've asked us to order the searches and, you know, you'd obviously have to pay for those. Whereas with these companies that say no sale, no fee, 9 times out of 10, I think if you look at the small print, they're going to charge you a file setup fee, which is going to be at least probably about £150 plus VAT. And they're probably making money in other ways on things like searches and EPCs and stuff like that. These are the bigger online firms, not local firms don't do that. So yeah, again, it's in the small print. There's probably no such thing as no sale, no fee, I would imagine. I could be wrong. I don't know how everybody works, but from my experience, that is the case.
The people's expectations, but I don't think they've got any expectations when they instruct a conveyancer, or have they?
You're not going to like this answer, Michael, but I think...
That's fine.
But I do think that they are sometimes set, people's expectations, by agents, in that this could go through really quickly, but your solicitor's going to have to do all this stuff and they'll just drag it out.
21-day exchange.
They'll just drag it out for the sake of dragging it out. And so, you know, you need to keep on at them because, you know, they'll just sit there with their feet up on the desk. If not, that's not the case at all. We're in a world now where everything is instant. You know, people have the Amazon mentality where you just get what you want. You know, you order something off Amazon, you can get it at your front door the same day. Unfortunately, with conveyancing, it's just never going to be the case unless,
But the conveyancer, so if when I take on a house, I'll tell my client, right, this is my process, this is how I work, this is the timescales. So this is what you can expect in the first day or the first week, the first month. So they've got an idea of what's going on.
We can give them an idea of what's going to go on.
That's what I mean.
However, as you know, anything can crop up during a transaction, especially a leasehold one. So we are, as fast as we can work on the matter and as much as capacity as we have to deal with it as quickly as we can, there's a chain of people. There's, with every other person in the chain, they've got a solicitor, they've probably got a lender, they might have a management company. So it's about all of those people working as quickly as we are. And there's so many issues that crop up now, new legislation like the Building Safety Act. Lender requirements are just increasing. We're getting stricter. Anti-money laundering requirements. There's the risk on us is high and gets higher and higher, hence why the insurance premiums are going up. So, we have to be doing a very good job and be incredibly diligent throughout, and that will delay things sometimes because things have to be done properly.
Yeah. I've got one at the moment where the estate agent below me in the chain contacts me on a weekly basis. Inquiries have just been raised. What's the delay? Please can you chase? I hate that word. Can you chase your client?
We're chased every day. Every day. Yeah, we've had it before, whereas we've just seen, we were CC'd into these inquiries that were just sent to you. Have they been dealt with? Well, it was an hour ago and there was 40 of them. And
I had that.
No, we haven't. So, as much as we'd like to do with everything like that, we can't. For a various number of reasons.
So what I've got is a probate sale. So the family are dealing with their parents' estate, if you like. And this estate agent chasing me. Inquiries are raised on Thursday, it's Tuesday. Why haven't they been responded to? It's like, well, hang on, the family have got to go through all of mum and dad's paperwork.
Yeah.
And respond to that.
Yeah. Expectations are unrealistic sometimes, let's say. We try our best to meet all deadlines, but we're not in control of everything with, lenders, management companies, so it's difficult.
So how do you identify a client's needs? Is that my job as the estate agent to tell you this person's a first-time buyer, this person hasn't sold a house for 45 years? Is there a way that you do that? Or?
I think the key there is the initial conversation with your conveyancer, to make sure you can have that set out. Yeah, your needs, your position. Don't be afraid to say, I need my hand held, because that's what we're here for. That's what we're here to, as well as carry out legal work, guide them and support them. And, establishing what their needs are at the outset is really important. And that's where that initial conversation comes in. So if you can't even speak to your conveyancer from the outset and put your case forward, that could cause delays, but more likely, concerns for you, because you're not going to know what's going on.
But I've worked for certain companies who will either, part of their day at work, they're monitored on the amount of calls that
Sales progresses, they're bane of my life.
Yeah, sales progresses. But I've had other estate agents who are, part of their,
it doesn't
how many
help.
viewings do you get a day?
Yeah.
No, but I've heard them call like on a Monday and say, can I have an update, please? I hate that. They're chasing. They want an update. And then I've heard them call within 2 days, 48 hours later, asking, can I have an update? But what I want to try and get across is, you told me how many emails you had one day.
Yeah.
Do you remember the number it was?
I have about 200 emails a day.
Yeah. 200 emails a day, plus update calls and stuff like that. Because I get the impression, if I have to call a solicitor, which I don't like doing, and the reason why I don't like doing it is because I want to leave you to do your job. So my job is to see the sale through, but I will mainly tell my clients what to do, as in, how are you getting on, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer? How are you getting on, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? And I'll help them with the process. What I won't do is chase the solicitor after updates all the time.
Yeah, but there's a big difference between you and bigger agents that have sales progressors that work in the head office somewhere, the team of sales progressors, chasers, never met the clients, don't know anything about the property, just need to make those call quotas. And
I've got to update the notes. That's the line.
I could actually tell them anything.
Yeah.
And they'll update their notes, but nothing gets done with that information.
They just take your time up.
To be fair, yeah, they do, because they don't then, even if you said to them, oh, while you're here, could you just ask them this? And then that will speed that up because they haven't replied to my email. They don't do it, which is why we like working with guys like you that, you know how I work, you know that I will get on with the job and you don't have to chase me every day. And if I've got a problem, I will come to you and ask you. We work together so that I know that you have direct contact with the other party as well. So if I need something and there's a particularly difficult solicitor on the other side, or they're busy and I need something quickly, I'll ask you to ask them. So it works both ways. I help you, you help me, and that's what speeds things along. There's a lot of mentality with conveyancers and agents that we're against each other, and we're not. We're working together. We both want the same goal. We both want the client to move into the house at the end of the day.
We should be on the same team as in estate agents.
We are on the same team because we want the same thing. Our clients are the same people.
There seems to be, like 15, 20 years ago, Christmas time, we would go out for Christmas drinks.
Oh, we're going out. You're taking me out.
But they used to happen all the time. It did, like 15, 20 years ago. And somewhere along the line, probably from the amount of shit that comes your way, update-wise and chasing-wise, I think it's built up frustration.
Things have definitely changed.
Yeah,
the dynamics of relationships between agents.
Well, now when I phone up now, if it's not your firm, if it's any firm actually, straight up, I apologise for calling. I do.
You shouldn't.
I do. I say I'm so sorry for calling, and I say this is the only time I've called. So, and I say I'm not that guy who's bothered you, 100 times this month. Please, can you help me with this one? And I'm on the back foot, like apologetically trying to get an answer. Because
you shouldn't be apologising. I think if the clients are happy for us to, then we will CC you into emails to keep you updated. That's a good way of keeping you updated. With the chaser calls, they do. They are a bugbear because they just take time up from us doing the job. And if you can imagine, if we've got 80 matters on, and there's 20 agents chasing that day with a phone call, that's every single time we're stopping what we're doing to do that. Effectively yes, but the mentality does need to change in that not all agents are the same.
No, I know.
We can use you as well as you can use us to move things forward and help each other. But it is frustrating when you're taken away from the job to ask why it's not being done quicker. It's because I'm on the phone to you. And I have been on the phone to 15 other people today telling them, if you need me to do it, I'll do it. So that's where the frustration does come from. But if, you communicate, if the solicitors are communicating with you guys by CCing you in or dropping you a quick one-liner, if I do a tile report or a search report or the mortgages come in and I'm telling the clients about it, a quick one-liner to you while I'm doing that, say mortgages in, searches are due back.
That's all it should be.
Then that means you don't have to pick the phone up. That means that you're not bothering me and I'm not bothering you by having to pick the phone up.
So the current process isn't working because the legislation that's coming your way.
The current conveyancing process is the same process as it always has. It never changes.
But something's changed because 20 years ago...
The process hasn't changed. The risks have increased.
So the process isn't working because
the demand has increased. Things need to be done quicker. Things need to be clients want things done quicker. Everything in the world is quicker at the moment except the conveyancing process because we're bound by the legislation that's been there for hundreds of years. And rather than getting better, the risks are getting higher. Like I said, with the Building Safety Act, money laundering regulations, the Law Society, all the regulations we have to adhere to for them with the protocol. Our risk and responsibility to our client, to lenders, to everybody increases all the time. So the process I don't think it's working, no. But
Not
then
like
I couldn't tell you how it can be changed, really, because I don't know how it could be resolved. You know, our time is what we're selling to the client. Our time is what we use to, you know, research title, report to the clients, do the actual job. I think that's what my frustration boils down to, is there's no time to do your actual job that you're being paid to do and what the clients have instructed you to do, because you're busy dealing with so many other third parties, conveyancing firms on the other side that might be these online kind of bucket shop conveyancing firms, that you end up feeling like you're doing their job as well as your own. Sometimes it's frustrating, really frustrating. I can't imagine how frustrated their clients must be, especially when you call them and you're on hold for 20 minutes. But that's the same number your clients are calling.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. But so yeah, it's a lot of our time is hijacked by other parties, where it's best spent actually doing the job we're supposed to be doing for the client. And if we were left to do that job, it would be done quicker. Yeah. It will never happen. But that is a frustration. And so some days I literally fight off emails and deal with third parties, and then think I'll go home and just do that work in the evening, because it needs a lot of concentration. And sometimes I will just think I can't.
You have homework.
Homework. It's just easier and to do that, because you've got no distractions. And if it's something, you know, if there's a complex lease that needs reading through and your phone's continuously ringing and people are asking you questions, it'll take you hours. Whereas if you just sit down in the quiet and read it, it can be a lot quicker. And also with my job as well, not this is a frustration at all, but as well as the job, acting for the clients, being a manager and a head of the department, there's obviously a lot of other things that come with that as well, which is why I've managed to build a really good team up around me. So I'm learning to delegate, and I've got such a good team now that I can trust and know that I can pass things to them. They can deal with things, which will allow me time to go and do those other things for the wider firm.
For any estate agents watching this, if an estate agent calls you, is there anything they can say to you to make you do your job faster?
No, because there'll be a reason why it's not going faster.
Yeah.
You know, not everyone can take priority over everyone. It doesn't work like that. But if there's a good reason for it, if the reason that it has to be moved faster is because the agent wants their commission faster. Yeah,
but there is this, is a thing where...
No, if the reason it needs to be moved faster is because there is a mortgage offer expiring, because someone's about to give birth, because, you know, someone's unwell and, you know, it needs to go through in case something happens to them, then yeah, they get prioritised. They will do. They have to, as much as we can. Like I say, we're so reliant on so many other parties to be able to do our job. It's not, you know, if we're sat there and it's not moving fast, 9 times out of 10, it's not because we just can't be bothered to move that along.
But if I shout louder, it doesn't make you go any faster.
No, probably have the opposite. Yeah,
there are people out there. Yeah. I'll call up again, and like
I said, depending on who the conveyancer is, there'll be a reason why it hasn't happened yet. They won't just be sat doing nothing on it.
Yeah, we don't want to exchange the file.
No, I can't bother.
I'm really interested.
So yeah, I think a lot of, you know, I do think, I've always said this, not to patronise agents in any way, but some of them just don't understand the process, have no idea about the process. If they understood what we have to do and the order in which we need to do it and the pressures we're under and the rules and, you know.
Do you know why I think that might be, though? It's because of all of the new legislation that you've got, I don't know about.
I'm not talking about that so much. I'm talking about the general conveyancing process. Well, why hasn't that been done? Well, we don't have any money in account, so we couldn't order searches. We can't just order them. No, because we don't have any money on account.
Well, that's one of my questions to you was, and one of the Avocado partners raised this with me, why aren't the searches ordered straight away rather than waiting on draft contracts?
Well, they are sometimes. It depends. So the searches, when we order them, we have to pay for them straight away. If we don't have, so we need to wait for the client to put funds on account for us to be able to do that. Because if we subbed
we can't do that.
200 sets of clients for £300-400, and then they don't come up with the money, we've lost out. So we have to wait for the client to put the funds on account. We send them that link with our initial client care letter, and they can do that easily online with us. So we normally have funds on account quite quickly. Some clients are reluctant to put any money on account until they know, for example, their mortgage offer is going to come through, because they don't want to risk, especially first-time buyers who don't have, extra funds to spare. Everything's going into this property. We don't want you to order the searches yet, because if we don't get our mortgage, or if this doesn't happen, then we've lost £300-400. If the money is on account and we don't have the contract pack in yet, we will say to the client, we haven't got the contract pack in yet, we can order them if you want us to. But if something happens, the contract pack doesn't come in, you're still going to need to pay for them even though it doesn't proceed. Yeah. But waiting for the contract pack to come in, it gives some certainty that the sellers have instructed their solicitor, have gone through all their ID, put their funds on account as well. Otherwise they wouldn't have issued the contract pack to us. So it just means that although everything could fall through potentially, we're a lot more certain it's going to go through, and a lot more certain the clients aren't going to waste their money. But like I said, we give them the option. If they are, want us to put the search in place, then we will, even if the contract packs aren't in.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't like this question.
Well, which one?
The problems are only dealt with when they arise.
But 100% talking about this. This has just come to me, by the way, so you have to ad-lib this. So one of the most frustrating things for me, and for sellers and buyers, is you're pushing towards an exchange. And I don't know, this is something different with different firms. And it's almost like the file needs to be signed off by I'm going to say, don't you?
It frustrates me probably as much as it does.
Why does this happen? So the file needs to be signed off by somebody. And the explanation I give to my clients is, it's like the conveyancer you've just used is in school. And they've got to give their homework in. And the teacher says, no, you've not done that, that, and that. And then all of a sudden, everyone's like, we're going to exchange. And then all of a sudden, there's a dozen inquiries that should have been asked weeks ago.
Yeah.
Why does that happen? And I know I haven't asked you that question.
So frustrating. Really frustrating for us.
Is it just a different...
It's the way the model's set up, I suppose, of these larger firms that have teams. So you might have one qualified person in a team, and then case handlers, admin, that will run the files to a certain point, but can't, either not qualified to sign the file off, maybe to submit the application for mortgage funds, or to get it exchanged. So these are the kind of firms where you'll get your lower fee, your cheap fee, because you don't actually have a qualified person looking at your file until it's ready to exchange. And then when it's ready to exchange, somebody who is qualified will look at it and say, well, you missed that, that, and that. It's infuriating, but it's common because more and more people are being drawn into using these online firms that have this model of case handlers and teams. You're with Team A. Well, if you ring up for a quote to anyone and they say, oh, Team A will deal with you, do you not use them? It needs to be, this person will deal with you, and you will have their direct contact details, and they will deal with your file from start to finish.
Should a client be legally ready?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really? Why did you say like that? Should they be legally ready before they sell their house?
I think so. And I was speaking to an agent about this the other day who asked me the same question. And I think that it's a really good idea, as much as you can, to get legally ready. Even to the point of, you're going to need your passport, you're going to need your ID, you're going to need your disease bill, even just to get through the initial stage of passing ID checks. Where is it? Find it, So having some idea of what we're going to be asking you for is helpful.
Yeah.
And I'm looking into drafting like a guide.
Yeah.
That can be handed by estate agents out to clients to say, this is what your solicitor's going to need from you.
So anytime I agree a sale, I'll send out, it's just on a WhatsApp, but the process of what's going to happen next, what your solicitor will ask for, but not many but just a few bullet points like that, just so they know a rough idea with it.
So there's lots of things they can do to get ready. Knowing what we're going to ask them as a seller, things like building regulation approvals, planning permissions, boiler installation certificates, things like that is helpful because they can start looking for them before they then got bogged down into thinking about packing. No, your question doesn't make sense. It will make you look stupid.
Really? Why?
Yeah, it will. You'll have to rephrase that. You don't date a contract until you exchange contracts.
No. But what I mean is some solicitors will send out the contract without dating it. They'll send it out for signing without putting the date on it.
You don't put the date on it until you make the phone call to exchange it. So nobody would do that. So that's why you can't say that, because it will make you look silly.
No, it won't.
It will. You're not understanding the process.
No,
So,
yeah, but this isn't for me.
no, I know. But that's, no, you can't answer that question because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. So no one is going to send a contract out to a client and
But I will have
no
clients.
client has ever dated a contract in their life. We date it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get what you're saying. What your question needs to be is, will you send a contract out to be signed to have it on the file ready, or will you always wait until you're literally at the point of exchange?
So some law firms will send it out early doors.
Yeah.
Signing.
So the way all law firms, conveyances work differently. The way I work is I would go through the contract pack, raise inquiries, draft my report at that stage to the client, send them the contract, transfer deed, explain how they need to sign it, and assure them that if they sign it and send it back if they're happy to, that will just sit on my file ready for when we are ready to exchange contracts.
But not everybody does that.
No. Different conveyances work differently, so some would not send that out until they had absolutely everything
Why would they
and their
not send
file
that out?
signed off.
Why would they not do that? Just because the computer says no again? Or?
I don't know. It's just the way they
I don't
choose
get it
to
because
work.
it seems like a simple.
Well, there's more frustrations there.
The
There's
practical
some,
process of doing it was
and there's
serious.
other conveyancers who will not raise additional inquiries until their very last search is back, which infuriates me because the very last search that comes back might not have anything to raise in it, and then you could have raised your initial set of inquiries on the title and anything else at the outset.
Yeah.
They could have gone to the sellers could have provided the replies, you could have got the replies and report it to your client, and then the last search comes in, it doesn't reveal anything, and you can move on to exchange. So why they wait for the very last search to come in before raising anything about anything drives me insane. I just don't understand it. I just think it's a way of pushing the file back into the cabinet to say, well, we don't have the last search back, I don't have to work on that yet. But why
would they do that though? Because going back to the point that we spoke about,
it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Like we said, every solicitor wants to get to that point of exchange. So why would they put the file back in the cabinet because they don't want to work on it?
Because they feel like that's my process. I won't work on it until I've got everything back.
Computer says no, I can't do it.
It's quite an old school way of working as well, I think. Whereas I like to keep things moving all the time. So, as soon as the contract back's in, review it, report on that part of it. If searches aren't in, I'll report on the searches separately. If the mortgage offer's not in, I'll report on the mortgage offer separately as and when it comes along. There's always things happening, always things moving, which gives the clients confidence as well to know things are still happening, and the agents as well. And it means that, like I say, if that last search does come in, there's nothing to raise on it, we're ready.
But people, when they're buying and selling a house, they kind of know what an estate agent does. But I think they know what an estate agent does because Phil and Kirsty are on TV.
Yeah.
Property's on TV. There's been road traders.
Maybe we need
TV.
a program for conveyancers.
Yeah, but there isn't. There isn't. So they don't know.
Yeah, no, they don't.
But they don't know what you do.
Yeah. Which is where a lot of frustrations come from, because they don't know what we're doing.
Yeah. So when they say, but I generally think that when somebody said this to me ages ago, when they phone up, a client will phone up an estate agent and just say, "What's your fee?" That's all they want to know. But you can't phone up a builder and say, "I'm having an extension done. How much is it going to cost?" So, there's loads to it.
Yeah.
But I think same with me. What's your fee? Is the question. It's the same with conveyancers. What's your fee? That's all.
It shouldn't be their main concern.
Yeah, but that's all they
quite
get.
low down their list of
Yeah, but
concerns.
it's what's your fee? And then they don't know about Team A and Team B, or my solicitor's only in Mondays and Wednesdays.
Yeah.
It just falls apart. It should be. That's what I kind of want this video to be.
Well, I was going to say, this is what should
an
help.
awareness for people to say, don't just, if you're selling or buying a property, don't just worry about the fee. There's loads to it that people don't have an education on or don't know about.
Because, like you say, they don't do it enough. They might do it once in their lifetime.
Whereas, again, you're talking about the fees that we earn, and I'm making a joke of me being at the start of the process and you being at the end. But
and your fee being a lot higher than mine. That one.
It can be, but the estate agent is the face of it. Does that make so? If a house sale falls through, the estate agent gets the bad name. Tends to be, for whatever reason, it falls through. The solicitor who does all the conveyancing, the important job of transferring a property from one person to the other, you're the key thing about it. But you're not. I don't know. You're not front and center. Do you know what I mean about that?
I do get that, what you're saying. I think what you're
really important, but you're not.
Oh, thank you. I think what you guys don't see as well is on the day of completion, the clients get their keys. Fantastic. That's done. You get your fee. We have weeks worth of more work to do with stamp duty, land registry requisitions, and then,
nobody thinks. I don't think about that.
You don't think about that, no.
No.
So there's a whole team of people that have to deal with that, and if you don't have a post-completion team, we deal with that.
Yeah.
So it's just because the day of completion.
No estate agent out there hears of a conveyancer having a post-completion team. It's
because they don't need to.
Well, no, but
yeah, but
it goes back to your workload. You watch your day to day.
Yeah, I mean, we like, as with the land registry, they're about 2 years behind at the moment picking applications up. So they'll be throwing requisitions at me from 2 years ago. And then you've got to go and get the file and think, what was this about? Look into it. It can, a lot of our day, a lot of my team's day is spent dealing with post-completion work. And then a client comes along and says, you acted for us 2 years ago and now remortgaging. And then you look and it was still at the land registry. So we need to get that expedited. And there's more work that comes after completion that you guys don't see because you don't need to.
They don't know about that, but again, that's...
Yes, yeah. So it's not
if estate agents were more aware of the work that you have to do.
Well, with leasehold, there's even more post-completion work. We have to draft notices to landlords. We have to pay their fees. We have to get certificates of compliance to adhere to the land registry. Deed of covenants need to be sent off. There's quite a lot of work, especially on leasehold properties, that happens after the day of completion. So yeah, you say you're at the beginning and I've got the small bit at the end, but actually that small bit at the end that you see, there's more to it than that. It goes on.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
For sometimes years after, due to the land registry. So